Sports Illustrated just made the case that Michigan and freshman quarterback Bryce Underwood are talented enough to win it all. All of it. The 2025 national championship. Crazy, right? Or not? I like it. Locked On Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hit that free subscribe button down below while you're watching so you don't miss a single episode. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. All right, can Michigan really win it all this year? We're going to explore. Plus, Jase is going pro. The Northwestern hazing thing is winding down, and we're going to get some portal news as well. Plus, our Big Ten Classics, all that coming up here. But first, there have been some whispers around Ann Arbor that five-star freshman quarterback Bryce Underwood is the real deal. He's blowing people away every single day. So much so that the whispers are growing loud enough to hear some people say, hey, Michigan is back. Like how back? All the way back. Let that settle in for just a second. Now, I personally think that Michigan will improve upon their 7-win regular season from last year. Okay. Now, I think they were a lot more talented last year than people gave them credit for. Remnants of the 2023-24 national championship team were still there. So they had some talent. They just had a train wreck situation at quarterback with J.J. McCarthy left. And it was amazing that they won as many games as they did. So with any success at all at quarterback this year, I think they can improve. But I'd at least like to see the spring game first and judge for myself before I say just how many games they're going to improve by. A 1 or a 2-win improvement would mean a big step forward. 3 wins, and we're talking playoffs. I know it's not that far-fetched, but we're going to have to wait a couple of weeks to see this team. You remember the spring game is next week, but Sherrone Moore is taking a page out of Nebraska coach Matt Rule's playbook. Nebraska canceled their spring game so that other schools can't scout his players on TV and then poach the kids to the transfer portal. Sherrone Moore and Michigan, they're still holding their spring game, but they won't allow the Big Ten Network to air that game for another week until after the transfer portal closes. So here we are. But back to these lofty expectations at Michigan this year. Underwood, as talented as he is, he's still a true freshman, and he's a young one at that. True freshman quarterbacks typically don't start out of the box very often in Power 4 football or the Big Ten, although Dylan Raiola did it last year with some success at Nebraska. So it can be done. And while the whispers about Underwood around Ann Arbor have been just downright giddy, compare that to the numerous stories we've done here on Locked On Big Ten about what's going on at Ohio State with former 5-star redshirt freshman Julian Sain, who's been around for a year. Word is he's been struggling. And at least struggling to the point where he's not better than backup Lincoln Kienholz at this point, who seems to have taken the lead at QB1. By the way, Ohio State spring game is this Saturday, so we should get a better feel for what's going on. That game will air on the Big Ten Network. I'll have all the details for you in just a little bit, our Big Ten Classics. But back to Michigan and whether it's possible for them to make a championship run with a true freshman at quarterback. Remember, he was the number 1 recruit in the country, after all. Not the number 1 quarterback, which he was. The number 1 recruit, period. Number 1 out of everybody. Numerous writers at Sports Illustrated, and I've seen it at other places too. But they gather to give reasons why Michigan could win it all in 2025. So, what the heck? We thought we'd take a look at a few of these reasons and kind of parse them out a little bit. First of all, talk about the new faces, and Underwood's not the only one. Mikey Keene, remember, they got an experienced quarterback to come in to help out the young freshman. Transferred in from Fresno State. but we haven't seen him yet this spring. Been injured. So I don't know. And from what I'm hearing, I heard as recently as today, this might linger a little bit as well. So the positive of that, Underwood's getting all the snaps of spring football, just all the first team snaps, I should say, and looking pretty good. Even I'm reading every day, defensive players, experienced defensive players are going, wow, this guy can throw. They also got him some big body wide receivers like freshman Jamar Broder and Indiana transfer Donovan McCulley. Both of those guys are 6'5", huge receivers. And Underwood's big himself, so they all be up here just thrown over the top over everybody. At running back, they got Jordan Marshall, who made his presence felt in the ReliaQuest Bowl against Alabama. Everybody's like, whoa, who's this guy? Not bad. Really good. In fact, he was the MVP of that game. And Justice Haynes was running back at Alabama. He was on the other sideline. He saw what was going on. He says, I'm going to go over there. So he transferred to Michigan. Maybe, just maybe, the Wolverines will have a 1-2 punch like Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards in the backfield again. We'll see. They have a new offensive coordinator this year. Is going to open things up. Chip Lindsay from North Carolina. He was working for Mac Brown. North Carolina put a lot of points the last couple of years on the scoreboard. Their problem was they couldn't stop anybody. They gave up a lot of points too. And it's part of the reason why Mac Brown's not there and Bill Belichick is. But Chip Lindsay, he knows offense. I think I'd be optimistic about that. And let's not forget the defensive side of the ball at Michigan, because you can never talk about Michigan without talking about the defensive side of the ball. Defensive coordinator Wink Martindale's coming back for a second season. And yeah, they lost a lot of talent to the NFL. They'll go in the draft here in the next couple of weeks. They got some transfers to plug some holes, some good guys in the defensive front, in the interior. Trey Williams and Damon Payne and Rayshawn Benny all should be pretty good. The linebackers are great. This is good. You got a senior in Ernest Hausman. He's a former Husker. And senior Jay-Sean Barnum, I believe. Well, I think he's a sophomore. He's got 2 years left, I think, Barnum. He transferred in from Maryland. Remember, we talked about him on this podcast. Like the minute the Maryland football season was over, he transferred to Michigan. He just wanted to be a Wolverine, jumped in there. So you got two experienced linebackers there in the middle of the defense with Hausman and Barnum. So that's solid. That's fantastic. And back to Bryce Underwood for just a minute. Presuming he's the day one starter, he'll have, in addition to the spring game, he'll have a warm-up game against New Mexico to kind of get his feet wet, and in the big house, home crowd, August 30th. Then comes the big test right away. As, tough as any environment at Oklahoma in week 2. That'll be a big one. And then they come home for week 3 for a date against Central Michigan. Again, kind of get used to how things are going to be. And then the Big Ten season is underway at Nebraska, home to Wisconsin, on the road to USC. By then, we'll know if those whispers here in April were for real as we get into the fall. Michigan fan, let's hear it. Give me the comments. Let's get it going on the YouTube comments. And also, everybody else, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below so you never miss a single episode. And you early morning commuters, don't forget, our audio-only podcasts are released 2 hours earlier than the video, way in the wee hours of the morning on Apple and Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. So you can check that out in the morning if you'd like as well. Don't forget, we have a website, talkbig10.com. And that's the number 10, talkbig10.com. All of our podcasts go there. We group them by school, and we do them chronologically as well. And there are also links where you can buy merchandise, shirts, hats, t-shirts, jackets, sweaters, coffee mugs with the logos of your favorite schools. We talk about Michigan today. You Michigan fans want to get a little merch for your desk, your office, your clothes. It's all right there. I got a link for you there at Talk Big 10. All right. Jase Richardson's going pro. I want to talk about that for a minute when we come back. And also that hazing scandal at Northwestern, that's starting to wrap up in the courtroom. We'll tell you what's going on there. And our Big Ten Classics in live action. We'll also tell you how you can catch that Buckeye spring game. All that coming up in just 1 minute as we continue right here on Locked On Big Ten. The NBA playoffs are on our doorstep right here. And FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get into the action. Right now, When you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. So you'll love how FanDuel makes it super easy, whether you're picking your favorite team or jumping into some player props, three-pointers, steals, assists. FanDuel has so many ways to bet on your favorite player props along with your favorite teams. The app is super easy. You get paid right away. It's great. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets in game in the same game parlay that you've already bet on. If you want to do that, just add to it for a chance to win big. So don't miss out. Head over to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Once again, that's at FanDuel.com. Thanks for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day. We always appreciate it, especially everydayers out there. Meanwhile, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And check out our website, talkbig10.com, for podcasts and merchandise there. So it seems like we've discussed a lot of lawsuits lately with the NCAA, the House settlement, Michigan State, Mel Tucker, right? Well, remember those hazing lawsuits that were going on at Northwestern that cost Pat Fitzgerald his job as the head football coach back in July of 2023? Well, and by the way, he was the school's all-time winningest coach and a two-time National Defensive Player of the Year at linebacker at Northwestern back in the day. Northwestern finalized its settlements with the former athletes who filed suits against the school and the coach for allegedly undergoing sexualized hazing while at the school. Now, my understanding is part of it, none of them can say that coach did anything bad as part of the settlement. Meanwhile, Fitzgerald, in a different deal, he has, of course, previously filed a $130 million wrongful termination suit against the school. That's scheduled to go to trial in November. That's how long these things take. He's seeking $68 million that was remaining on his contract and $62 million for losses for future earnings. And as much as coaches are getting paid these days, you might want to bump that number up a little bit. All right, some bad news for Kirk Ferentz and Iowa football. Lost a couple of players recently here to the portal. And tight end Gavin Hoffman, he left for the portal. We knew that a couple days ago. Linebacker Devin Van Ness is also leaving via the portal. Got 4 years of eligibility. You may not have heard of him. He was a backup player, and maybe he's going to be a backup role player this year. But his brother, Lucas Van Ness, you may have heard of. He played at Iowa, of course, and now he's a member of the Green Bay Packers. So a couple of kids getting out of Iowa. Now, on to basketball. As we speculated last week here on Locked On Big Ten, Michigan State basketball freshman Jase Richardson is entering the 2025 NBA draft. He is expected to be a lottery pick, maybe 13, 14, somewhere in there. And with Tom Izzo and the Spartans this year, they won the Big Ten regular season. They made the Elite Eight for the first time since 2019. A lot of good things for the season. Richardson's an interesting story because he really didn't, the first half of the year, you wouldn't have thought, wow, this guy's a one and done going to the NBA. But along the way, kind of a late bloomer, he made the Big Ten's all freshman team and then the third team all conference, averaging 12 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists per game, shooting 41% from three land. They love that in the NBA. He was a late bloomer. He didn't even start for Izzo until like February, I think February 8th. But from then on, his game just took off and a lot of people noticed. And don't forget, we talked about this last week, just to remind you, in case you're a little on the younger side, his father, Jason Richardson, played for Izzo's 2000 national championship team. And he went on to be the number 5 pick in the NBA draft in 2001. Played 13 years in the league. So stays in the family. They got the talent. Now the son going from Michigan State to the NBA. Also, I saw an interesting thing in Wall Street Journal regarding the value of basketball teams. We talk a lot about football, and football financially runs things in college athletics and all that. But the Wall Street Journal ranked the most valuable college basketball programs. They do this every year. They come up with an enterprise business value. They look at cash flow and revenue. They come out with a number, and then they rank. North Carolina and Duke are number 1 and number 2. Indiana was number 3 in the country and number 1 in the Big Ten in value. The estimated value of the basketball program at Indiana is $279 million, according to their formula. Again, that's the best of the Big Ten. It's 3rd in the country. Ohio State was 4th, right behind Indiana. Illinois, 8th. Michigan and Michigan State were 12 and 13. And Minnesota, the Gophers basketball program, a surprising 15th. Kind of interested maybe to do a little more digging on that. Purdue, top 20. Wisconsin came in 26th in the country. UCLA, 29th. Maryland at 35th in the country. And that's about where it cut off at values of $100 million or more. We told you Indiana was on top of the Big Ten, valued at $279 million. Maryland, 35th in the country, $100 million. So everybody else below $100 million. Northwestern coming in at 44th in the country. Iowa, 45th highest value. Nebraska, 47th. That's coming off their crown championship. Washington, worth about $80 million, and about $200 million less than Indiana. They're coming in at 61st. Rutgers, 63rd. And I'm surprised, Oregon, with a value of $77 million, 64th in the country. I thought that was low. And then USC, 72nd in the country. And then Penn State was the lowest ranking Big Ten team, 87th in the country in their valuation of $45 million. I know football drives it over there at Penn State, but their basketball could use a little help. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. Maybe some of you saw that. Maybe you could comment on that as well. In the meantime, if you are new to Locked On Big Ten, I'm going to tell you 2 things real quick about this podcast. It is the only podcast in America, probably the world, that does all Big Ten every day, all 18 teams, news, analysis, and opinion, all in one place right here. This podcast, Locked On Big Ten. If you're new, hit that subscribe button. That would be great. Also, I'll tell you, every day we got a feature that we always close out with. They're always fun. Mondays, we always do my top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. Tuesdays, we always do Tuesday tweets. You can always follow us at Twitter or X at Talk Big Ten. You see, you put something on there that I like, I'll put it on this podcast from a Twitter post or an X post. Wednesdays, we like to power rank stuff. Thursday, we always take a look at the Big Ten Network and their Big Ten Classics and the Big Ten Live Action. We highlight things over the weekend. We are not affiliated with the Big Ten Network, but obviously we have mutual interests as well. And the Fridays, we always go into the weekend making picks, put it on the line. We can say this team's going to win this game and that team's going to win that. Or sometimes we'll look at odds, all that stuff. We always make picks on Friday. So it's Thursday. We're going to look at and highlight some things with the Big Ten Network, Big Ten Classics, Big Ten Live Action, tell you where you can watch that Ohio State spring game and what time and all that. It's coming up in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. Today's episode is brought to you by Epicor. Every team knows the value of hard work, of taking pride in what you build, in practicing every detail to get the best results. No one player, no matter how amazing, can do it all alone. So whether working together makes getting the win easier, it does. At Epicor, the all-stars are the hardworking manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver the things we all need, from aerospace to electrical to medical devices. It's everywhere. Epicor ERP solutions are created by industry experts to help make every day easier. Seeing your whole supply chain is easier with Epicor. Managing logistics is easier with Epicor. Responding to price changes is easier as well. From small businesses with big dreams to growing enterprises with global vision, we'll equip you with the right tools to move forward, think ahead, and lead the way. Because as the clock ticks down, you need to make the most of every hard-working minute. Easier doesn't cut corners. Easier takes the lead. Discover your success at www.easierwithepicor.com. That's www.easierwithepicor.com. All right, let's do this. It is time to take a look at the Big Ten Classics and live action coming up this weekend. I'll put it on screen. If you're audio only, no problem. I'll describe what we're putting here on the screen and get you your plan for what you're going to watch here this weekend on the Big Ten Network. So let's add it here, full screen. And we'll pick it up with Friday, the 11th, Friday, April 11th. Going to start it off at 1 p.m. Eastern. All these times are Eastern. We got the an Ohio State football classic. It is the Ohio State-Penn State game from this fall. Will Howard passing for 182 yards and 2 touchdowns to lead the 4th-ranked Buckeyes to a 2013 victory over the 3rd-ranked Nittany Lions. That was a huge game. And, of course, Ohio State comes out on top. You'll see a lot of Ohio State classics and whatnot this weekend because of the Ohio State spring game. 2 o'clock on Friday, another Ohio State classic. Indiana at Ohio State from November. Will Howard passing for 2 touchdowns and ran for another score to help the 2nd-ranked Buckeyes defeat the 5th-ranked Hoosiers 38-15. So that was number 2 versus number 5 at Ohio State. And Ohio State put it to them. And that was Kurt Cignetti and the Hoosiers' first loss of the season in late November. Also a tune-up, a tune-up for the Michigan game, but that didn't work out for Ohio State the following week. At 5:30 Eastern time, we got some Big Ten baseball. Northwestern is at Michigan State, and at 8:30, a softball game, Michigan State at Illinois. So that is for Friday as we look ahead to the Big Ten Network over the weekend. On Saturday, April 12th, pick it up at 10 a.m. Eastern with another Ohio State football classic. Again, they're going to re-air that Ohio State-Penn State game we just talked about just a moment ago. Then at noon, got the spring game for Ohio State live. I'm going to be checking that out. I'm going to be checking out Lincoln Keenholz. I'm going to be checking out Julian Sayin. It's going to be interesting. We go back and check out yesterday's Locked On Big Ten podcast. We ran down the rundown on what to expect, when how they're going to hit early on, and then how they're going to kind of morph into some sort of scrimmage game. All the details, got it all yesterday on Locked On Big Ten. At 4 o'clock, we go back to some Big Ten baseball. Oregon at Maryland. Go check that out. And then on Sunday, pick up the action here at 10 o'clock in the morning. More replay of the spring football game of Ohio State. If you missed it on Saturday, but busy running around with the kids, the family, they'll re-air it at 10 a.m. on Sunday Eastern time. Then live action, noon, Big Ten lacrosse, Michigan at Rutgers. Rutgers with that big win over Maryland last week. Big Ten baseball at 2 o'clock, Nebraska at Iowa. And then at 5 o'clock, softball, Nebraska is at Northwestern. So those are Big Ten classics and live action that we've picked out and highlighted from the Big Ten Network, scheduled to air here this weekend. So you can check some of that out as well. Be sure to subscribe. If you don't do anything else, hit that subscribe button. We would love it if you did that. And that way, it's free and you never miss a single episode. Many ways for you to interact here at Twitter or X at Talk Big Ten, and then our website, talkbig10.com, where all of our podcasts go. And you can get some school merchandise there as well. But I always invite you to go back, check out our other podcasts if you missed them earlier this week, because we're here every single day. And I know sometimes you can't watch or listen every day. Go back and check it out. Always appreciate that. And don't forget, you early morning commuters, the earlier version, audio only, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, in addition to the video version on YouTube. We're all over the place. Also, invite you to check out our friends at Locked On NFL Draft, Damian Parson and Keith Sanchez. We could keep track of your favorite college football players, your Big Ten football players, where they think they're going to go in the NFL draft. Rumors, news, rankings, they got all that stuff. Find Locked On NFL Draft on YouTube wherever you listen to your podcast. That'll do it for us. Can't wait. We'll be talking more spring football for sure in tomorrow's episode. Plus, we'll pick some odds to look at. There aren't any games. I'm really not going to pick a winner for the Ohio State spring game now, will I? But we'll find something. We always do. It's always fantastic. Looking forward to talking to you tomorrow. Thanks for joining us here today. I'm Craig Sheeman for Locked On Big Ten.